Good evening, people. Welcome back to another massive away days. Oh my.
I get those goosebumps every time.
I just have to get the big fella off the bench.
Could this be their last chance now? In it comes, Monster to the front! He scored! Ali Monster scored!
I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too numb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need that line to throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713 through the 21, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me outside? Sipping low-key and high, it's my water. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. You come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those times, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hype.
Here we go. Good evening and welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC away days. We are back again with another big match preview. And of course, got the main man with me, Mr. Chris Hall, Brandy and Blaze in the house. How you doing, fella? How's things? And look, have you recovered from Tuesday night?
I'm all good on a personal note, mate. I'm all good. I played my first proper game of footy, as in a full game, in like 13 months tonight. So yeah, and it all went well. No injuries yet. So really happy with that, mate. In terms of the match, no, not really. But you know what? This is the advantage of having another game very quickly after it. So now my sole focus is on the Premier League and obviously a massive game against Man United on Saturday. So I'm trying to put it to one side because, like, do you know what makes it worse, Pete? It's the fact that it's not like we're talking about a bad performance. It's not like we're talking about, you know, a dodgy decision. We're talking about a decision that is just, it's unexplainable. I still can't get my head around it now, and I still don't understand how that decision was made. Even the steps that got us to where we were. You know, the fact the referee's gone and looked at it on the screen and he still thinks it's a penalty, even though his initial decision was not to give a penalty. So it's just baffling to me. It really is. But I'm gonna try and forget about it. But yeah, I'm sure those feelings will come back when we play AC Milan on the 13th of December. But for now, it's just solely focused on the Premier League for me. But how are you doing, mate? You all right?
Not too bad. Yeah, still, I'm not going to lie, still reading a little bit, but it's nice to know that the vast majority of the fan bases outside of Newcastle United are in support with us with regards to that decision, and we'll get Saeed's opinion on that very shortly. But welcome everyone in the chat. Great to have you all in. Jordan Team for Life, Gary V, Lisa, our resident mod is in the house. Would I eat there? Jules. I think Jules might have even been first in. Welcome, Jules. All the regulars, Les, Craig Lee. I could keep going on. You've got Paul in the house as well, Jamie, and many, many more. Hope you're all well. Get your questions in for Saeed as well whilst we've got him. So get them in now, and we'll definitely tag them. But look, let's get Saeed's opinion on all of this because this will be an interesting conversation, and let's get down to business about the big game on Saturday night. So, as always, on away days, we get the opposition's view, and it's a pleasure to have the main man, Saeed, from Saeed TV, representing Man United. How you doing, my man?
Yes. Big up the chat. Big up to you guys, Pete and Chris. It's been a minute, man. I think the last time I came on was the final. Was it the yeah? That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I think that's obviously because the last time we played you anyway.
In your eyes.
Yeah. But nah, listen, man. Big up the chat. Big up you lot. I've never had an issue with the Newcastle fans, so we're in good spirit. I know, listen, share and all that and whatnot and and also the Newcastle fans gave me a lot of banter on the Carabao Cup game because I was sat right on the edge where the Newcastle fans, and I was like, oh my god! And then they all knew me, and they were like giving me the big one, and they were celebrating my faces. And listen, rightfully so, because you lot destroyed us in that game. But yeah, man, it's good crack, and yeah, looking forward to the big game Saturday 8 o'clock. By the way, do you like 8 o'clock kickoffs? Because I can't stand them. I hate them. I absolutely hate them.
You know what? As a time, it's not great, but you know what? St James's Park under the lights, man. It gets me excited because our boys tend to play better under the lights. I don't know if you agree with that, Chris, but I think our boys tend to play better at St James's Park when we're in an evening game under the lights. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, to be fair, you're right, Pete. Maybe Saeed's feeling that way because obviously it's away from home as well. So, you know, if it was at Old Trafford, maybe you feel differently, Saeed. But yeah, I mean, it is a bit. Do you know what I think? Like, I don't particularly like. I don't like Saturday night 8 o'clock because it just doesn't feel normal. Just doesn't feel normal. Normally it's 5:30. That's as late as we go. But don't get me wrong, I'm sure I'll feel differently come like 7 o'clock at night on Saturday because I'll just be very excited and really looking forward to the game. But yeah, no, I agree with what Saeed's saying. But I do agree with you, Pete, when you say that Newcastle under the lights we do perform and we do turn up.
Well, definitely. Look, we'll touch on it in more detail very soon. But just your opinion, Saeed, before we move on. We might as well talk Champions League football from both perspectives. And we've just been talking about it, Saeed, at the Park. 96th minute of 8 minutes. How they got 8 minutes, I have no idea. But they got that penalty. Tino Livramento. So unfortunate, and Mbappe makes it 1-1, and they steal a point. When you're watching that, because I think you did a watch along, didn't you, on your channel?
Yeah, I did.
When you saw that,
yeah.
What were you thinking, man?
I was thinking robbery, man. I was like, yo, how on earth did you come to that decision? It's first of all, it's ball to hand, so he's got no option but to put his hand there. It's gone on from his body or wherever it was. The ball landed onto his arm. You can do nothing about that. Had it gone to his hand, I would have been like, fair enough. You don't put your arm around there, and you're running the risk of a penalty. But that one there, you have literally no other reason but to your hand to be there. It's not as if he can't take his hand away. You know what I mean? So I just look at it. I think the referee. The problem is with the VAR is when it goes to the monitor, it becomes a subjective decision. So it's based on the logic of the referee and how he's thought. That is basically trying to cheat, basically, because that's what penalties are, right? You're trying to cheat and con the referee and con the game. I just thought it was absolutely I was flabbergasted, and I was on it with Matisse, and we were like, "What? What are you doing?" And he gave it, and listen, he gave it because it's Mbappe. People need to realize that. I'm sorry to be brutal, but they didn't want Mbappe playing the Europa League. They didn't want Mbappe going out early, and you have to call it what you see it. I don't know. I know your owner was there with the PSG owner, so it's not as if he was bribed by money UEFA. But the referee and whoever's involved in the referee association, they wanted to see Mbappe still in the Champions League, and it was literally fortuitous because now it changes the whole dynamic. Dortmund are through, and they're not going to play to 100% now against PSG. They're not. Whereas AC Milan might want to play 100% because they might get Europa League or whatever. I don't know if they can go through. I think they're out, aren't they, in terms of the thingy? But like I said, they can try and get something out of that. So it changes the whole dynamic. And I think for me, as much as Newcastle, don't get me wrong, Newcastle got peppered in terms of the goal, but it doesn't change the fact that it should have finished 1-0. You know what I mean? At the end, that was the last kick of the game, that penalty. So yeah, you guys got robbed, and for me, I felt sorry for you guys because you had a brilliant game, in terms of what you guys did and whatnot. Like, you could have done more. Nick Pope was amazing, etc., etc. So, yeah, man, referee for me robbed these lot. Absolutely robbed these lot.
No, it's a fair point. It's a fair point, as Saeed said, Chris. And look, if you look at the bottom of that screen on how the handball is being applied now, it says these include recommendations. Handball should not be called if the ball has deflected off another part of the player's body, as well as more leniency towards showing a yellow card, red cards after non-intentional handballs. From the rules there, and as it says, I'll put it back on the screen. As the rules say there, it shouldn't be a penalty. It shouldn't be a penalty. But we said it live. We said it live watching it on our watch along, Chris. We knew it shouldn't have happened, and it still did.
Yeah, it's. I think this is why I was so like disheartened by it, because I think I said this to you guys pre-show. It's the fact that like he's gone and looked at it. He's not give it, and then he's gone and looked at it. And and if you remember, Saeed, you'll probably remember because you were watching it. When the referee was like telling everyone to stand away while they were waiting for the VAR decision, it didn't flash up for the viewers, so nobody saw it again. And my initial thought was, "Oh, it looks harsh. That looks pretty close." And then when the referee went over to the screen, they showed us the replay when the referee was looking at it. So when I looked at it, I was like, be fine, be all right. Sounds, we can clearly see it. It's the chest, or the lower part of the torso, and it then goes on to the arm, really, rather than the hands. And I thought, be fine. And then when like he stopped, because he didn't even take long. He like looked at it.
No.
And then and then I thought, oh great, okay. And then when he put his whistle to the mouth and then pointed, I just thought, I can't believe this. Cannot believe it. Absolutely devastated. Absolutely devastated.
Yeah. So look, we go down to the last game, AC Milan at St James's Park. Still in our hands to a point in terms of getting European football, Europa League or Champions League. We just need to win our game, and when we get Europa League guaranteed.
Yeah.
And it's up there. It's in the hands of the gods with regards to Dortmund, who are at home to PSG, and PSG don't travel well, as Lee mentioned on our preview show for the PSG game. So look, it's all to play for, but we weren't the only ones playing Champions League football last night. I'm not going to lie, if you were mentioned in the chat about your watch along, because some of our Newcastle fans have watched it and said that you are.
Yeah, Tune for Life's always in there. Big up Tune for Life.
Definitely.
He's always in there.
Foxy as well as mentioned. He's put a few comments in there, but it ended up 3-3. I'm not going to lie, Saeed, I watched the game. How that ended up 3-3 when you guys were 2-0 up after about 10 minutes. I just thought that game was done. Then it went to 3-1. And look, let's just start the conversation. You can touch on the result. But this guy, I'm not being funny, man. I'm not being funny, but Peter Schmeichel's right, because he says in the Manchester Evening News today, the mistakes by goalkeepers are very, very expensive. Every time a goalkeeper makes a mistake, it's a goal. And that is just a fact of life. Every little mistake you make is penalised. And boy, was it last night, because, I mean, the first free kick was bad, but that second free kick, wow. Like, I tend to call keepers that can't hold on to something Timmy Chocolate wrists, and he was definitely that last night. That's for sure. But look, just tell us about it from your perspective, man.
Yeah, it's not good enough, man. I know it can be a laughing joke or whatnot, but it's happened too many times now. Yeah. I just don't know what it is anymore, because I feel like, he's a confident keeper in terms of what he does. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. He was on the halfway line and he just literally turned the player away and he went away with the ball. So he is confident. But the problem is, I always think we always miss the meaning of what a keeper is. Like Nick Pope, people might say to him, he's not the greatest on the ball, etc., but he is a good keeper. You're not going to get many mistakes from him. You know what I mean? If you're going to get mistakes, it might be kicking out from the back or etc., like, or he might do a rash decision where he comes off and maybe cleans someone out and then gets a red card. But other than that, I look at it and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, these are simple saves you got to make. And he just absolutely destroyed everyone yesterday, because we actually didn't play that bad. But then he was playing against us, really, in all honesty, because I'm looking at him thinking, the save comes in for the second goal, yeah? It comes in and he parries it into his goal. How have you got it from pushing it out to bringing it in? And he's done it against on Everton the weekend. I think it was Garner Gay had a shot and the ball came inwards. And I was like, what are you doing? Parry it out. And I'm just confused as to what is wrong. But like I said to you, I don't know at 27, though. This is a worry for me. He's 27 years old. You can't learn this overnight, And it goes for me more than just pressure. Pressure is when you don't kick the ball out properly, you don't play out from the back as confident. He can do all of that, but he's saving. Oh my God, it's so bad. And for me, how many more mistakes are we going to have? Because we've got Liverpool coming up, we've got you lot coming up. You lot, for me, when you look at, you take your chances as well. Like you ain't going to mess around. You put past bloody Chelsea, and they were bad as well. We give a lot of chances. I think we gave him 8 shots on target last game. 8 shots on target. We've had conceded 33 goals this season. 33 this season already. That is crazy. I don't know how many that is per game, but that's a lot.
Is
In the
that in all
Champions League alone,
competition?
we've conceded 15.
Is that in
That
all
is
competitions?
the worst. No, 15 in the Champions League, 33 in all competitions. Yeah.
Wow.
So basically, 3-0 against you lot, 3-0 there, 2-0 there, etc., etc. So it's like there's been a lot going on. And I feel like for me, it's just not good enough. And for me, I look at Ten Hag and I'm like, just bring in Bayende, like give him a game against Newcastle. I'm not even lying to you. Like he's Turkey #1. He can't be as bad as this. He might even give you at least a solid performance where he's not at the forefront of the mistakes. I don't mind you. Everyone can concede goals. It's about how you concede them as well now. That's what Onana is doing wrong. He's conceded bad goals.
You know what? That's an interesting one because there was talk that could potentially happen, that he could actually give Onana a rest. But I did see something to say that the only way he's going to be dropped is if he asks to be taken out the firing line. So I don't know whether that would be the case. But look, Chris, I'll get your opinion on Onana. Like, are you quietly confident coming on Saturday, knowing that he could potentially be in the goal with the mistakes that he's making at the moment?
Just to clarify, by the way, Saeed, I wasn't laughing at the fact that Onana's been making mistakes. I was laughing at the Timmy chocolate wrists. Like I've never heard that ever.
Bro,
I've never heard that.
You know what? Stan Collymore said it. Stan
Timmy
Collymore
chocolate
said it
wrists.
about an England goalkeeper like years ago, and it stuck with me.
No
He said
way.
it. I think it was in one of the major competitions. I'm not sure if it was like.
yeah.
It might have been Joe Hart. Joe Hart made a mashup in a major competition somewhere, and he called him Timmy Chocolate Wrist, and I just used it ever since.
Brilliant. No, it's brilliant. But
Bro. Jelly hands, I call him now. Jelly hands. He's got
Jelly hands.
Jelly
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, jelly hands. But I wouldn't. But I suppose with Onana, it's like footballers need confidence, don't they? And none more so than a goalie. I mean, Pete, we saw how Nick Pope reacted after that big mistake against Liverpool. We even say now he still doesn't quite look as confident as what he used to. So it's going to take a long time to recover. We saw what happened with Loris Karius, and he's now ended up as our number 3 goalkeeper. And when you think he was playing in the Champions League final for Liverpool, it's quite a drop. But the thing with Onana is he's one of those. I suppose to liken him to someone, he reminds me a little bit of like Bartes, where like he'll do something brilliant and you're like, oh God, good keeper, and then like he gets the basics wrong, and then you just kind of think, hang on, what? And you're absolutely right. What you said, Saeed, about like the whole, if he's not doing the basics at 27 years old, is he ever going to do them properly? Is he ever going to learn? We're not talking about a 20-year-old keeper. We're talking about someone who's played top level football. He's played years at Inter Milan, hasn't he? And
facts.
I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm confident going into it because of Onana, but what I would say is if I was Eddie Howe, I'd be going, just put loads of pressure on him, pepper the goal, get the crosses in, make him make decisions, make him have to kind of, second guess, because it does feel like there is a mistake in there in him. But whether or not he kind of irons those out, whether or not he settles down, and I tell you what, Pete, what I thought was interesting when you said about if he'll only get dropped if he has to come out of the firing line. Like as a manager, you don't want that, do you? You don't want your player just waving the white flag, going, "Yeah, do you know what, mate? I'd rather not play if you don't mind." Like, where does he go from there if he does that?
That's true.
But the thing is, though, I'd rather him say I've made a mistake, though, and then later on be like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like, you can rectify things. You know what I mean? It's okay. Like, managers get mistakes and be like, you know what? Right now, he's not doing well, so we'll allow it right now. But we now have Bayende to come in. Even Tom Heaton, he wouldn't make the mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, and even Dubravka was a bit dodgy when he came to us, but like, he's not making them kind of mistakes that Onana's making. These are just kind of Onana territory, and everybody now is going to be preying on that. And you know what? Whoever's got a good shot, I don't know who's got a distance from them. Who likes to strike the ball from distance? For you lot, Gordon, Almiron. You guys can pick your choice because if you guys shoot at him, he might get a couple. Bruno, there you go.
Yeah, we've got a few. To be fair, he's that likes to hit one from outside the box. I don't think he scored a couple last season. I don't think he scored one this season outside the box, or has he? Can't remember, but he likes a shot outside of the box. So we've got plenty that can. There's no doubt about it. But it's one of them that like Saeed made the point, is that you're conceding a lot of chances at the moment. And Newcastle like to create a lot of chances. I think we're only behind Man City, is the highest scorers in the Premier League this season. So we know we can score goals, and let's be honest, Chris. Like, most of those goals are coming at St James's Park, other than the Sheffield United away game. So we know we can put the ball in the net, and that's why it kind of feeds into, he's in a down moment right now. We're confident coming to St James's Park, angry. After Tuesday, and it could potentially play in our hands, but there are definitely other factors to that. I just want to steal the chat just for one second.
Yeah, go for it, mate. Go for it.
Yeah,
Foxy did say, when you mentioned Dubravka, he said, I think he thinks that Saeed wants Dubravka back.
No. He was dodgy, man. I didn't trust him, man. I didn't trust him. I can't lie. Sorry, but no thanks. Thanks for no thanks.
I didn't think that would be the case, that he'd want him back, but yeah, it's one of those. And Foxy also mentions as well, and I've been making mistakes since the Ajax days, and that goes with what type of goalkeeper he is, because he's a ball-playing goalkeeper. You do run the risk of making a mistake. That's part of the game. But I have been surprised about his ability to shot stop. I thought it was better than what we've seen so far. He's had, I think, 1 or 2 games where he's been really good. But in general, I actually thought his overall shot stopping ability was better. And you made the point, Pope is playing better right now. You got Nick Pope in goal away at Galatasaray, you win that game. And that's
easy.
But there's a few questions, I think, Chris, that have popped into the chat. Let's see if we can find some before we get into the game and talk about the game in a bit more detail. Any questions you want to shoot at Saeed?
I didn't see this, but Jamie Burton's put it in. I quite liked it. Who's seen Saeed's face when it went 3-3?
Oh, yeah. It was not great, man. That's all I know. It wasn't great. You know what I mean? I was just, it just keeps happening time and time again. Like, and when it just becomes too much, it's like, just allow it in it. Like, just do better. That's all I ask for. Just do better and just hold the result. This job's been diabolical. We deserve to go out. Like, whatever anybody says, we deserve to go out. Like, no questions asked.
Yeah. This is an interesting one. I know, and I'm bringing it up because we've just been speaking about him. But Saeed, if you were Eric Ten Hag, or if they brought you in as a goalkeeper coach, what would you be saying to Onana now? What would you be telling him to focus on or concentrate on?
For me, concentration is one thing for him. He's not good at. I want him to come to the strikers when they're having a chance. I want you to come and chase them down and get out of your box, because that's what we complained with David Gea with, is that he wasn't proactive enough. So be proactive. That's one thing I think for me. It's difficult to kind of almost practice that shot stopping, because you're either good at it or you're not. You know what I mean? You're not going to tell, I don't know who is this, who's at the back for you, Dan Burn, to be the best step over king. He's not going to do that, is he? Because he's not that sort of player. You know what I mean? So I just feel like, for me, it's one of the things where you have it or you don't. But main thing is, for me, is that he's got to be able to at least parry the ball out. I think his style of the way he's saving is just not good enough for me. So I would work on that. But that's where the goalkeeper coaches come in and say, right, we've got to make sure, your concentration is good, and you're also you're practicing your saves, you know what I mean, and you're being very, very meticulous in the way the technique of you're doing it as well. So yeah, 100%. And just mentally as well, just being in check. That's what I would do. Like, be strong mentally, because now he's just crumbling. After 1, 2, 3, he's just not. He just crumbles for me. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah. No, that's fair, mate. That's fair. Tom Dixon asks, and maybe you're gonna. Well, I don't know whether you mentioned this or not, but where do you think Man United will look to strengthen in the January window?
I think we need a centre back. I think we're going for Todibo, but I think you guys also were in for Todibo as well. So that's something going to be interesting to who gets him first. I think Todibo's definitely a player that Man United should be getting in January. Obviously, we're linked with Ineos. They're obviously the parent club of Nice. So that would work out in that aspect. But then again, how much is it going to cost you? It's a lot of things to kind of work on it. But we definitely said about Varane might leave. Obviously, Lisandro's out with an injury. And then we're looking at least a midfielder. For me, one midfielder has to come in. I want a kind of a technical midfielder, someone that can get on the ball, and start to dictate things. I think that would be someone I would bring in. And maybe also another striker as well, because we're not scoring goals. You know, obviously we scored 3 against Everton, but they're all individual kind of goals, 3 different goal scorers. Hoyland hasn't got on the score sheet. He's quite young. He's quite raw. So I would definitely say maybe a striker as well, because we do lack goals in our team. You know what I mean? And that is something that we need to have. Someone like you guys have got Callum Wilson and Isak. We would love for 2 different natural goal scorers, you know? So that would be my 3 key positions. Whether they happen or not is probably a different situation, but definitely M3, centre back, striker, and a midfielder.
Have you and this is just my question, Saeed. Have you I didn't know your opinion on him, but have you missed Sabitzer this season, or are you glad that he went?
I wasn't glad, but I wasn't like, I'm not missing him. I'm kind of in the middle. I think we've kind of, if you look at the game against you lot, he played unbelievably, by the way, but he played on the left. We never ever for once played him on the left. So we misprofiled him. I don't know what Ten Hag was thinking, but we used to play him in the 6 role. We used to think that he was a 6, and we used to play him in deep line playmaker role. You know, I just thought, what are you doing? So I don't miss him because we never used him correctly, and I don't want him back and etc. Because I feel like it's one of them where we definitely could get better than him, but we definitely misprofiled him. So, but then again, if that's the sort of midfield that we go and get in January, then I don't want it, because I feel like it's one of them where we always waste our time with these signings because we never ever played him in their correct position. So yeah, it's Sabitzer was decent. He played one brilliant game, and that was against Sevilla, where he scored 2 goals in like 3-4 minutes. It was mad. It was mad.
Yeah.
Saeed, obviously, you're saying looking for a midfielder. 2 things are really interesting with that. Is that one, there's been rumours that that Man are looking to already replace Amrabat and find an alternative defensive midfielder, which it surprised me, to be fair. But then obviously it kind of says that maybe they're not convinced on what he's done so far, and obviously looking for another midfielder. Could that push this guy down the pecking order, who I think has come in and done a decent job for you, Kobe Mane?
Yeah.
He's come in and played really well. I watched him a little bit during pre-season. He looked really good. Obviously, he got then like a bad injury and he was out for quite a while, but he came in against Everton, looked really good. Came on again last night late on at Galatasaray and looked decent as well. When you got players like that coming through, do you really need to go and get another midfielder, because you only got really 3 spots to take?
Yeah. The thing is, it's sort of profile as well, though. He's more of a DM. Minos can play in the 6, but he's more of an 8. But I feel like we're lacking that kind of midfielders to break the line, like almost like a Bruno Guimaraes, who can play in that kind of technical role, but also can do the dirty work as well. We're lacking that kind of midfielder. It's just a little bit of a gem in that midfield, gives us a bit of class. We're not lacking. Eriksen can do that, but his legs are kind of gone. And then obviously you've got Bruno Fernandes, but he's again more forward-thinking player. So it's one of them where, for me, like, I feel like we still need someone of that caliber in here. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if you had to tell me what would be your ultimate priority, it would be centre back and striker. Like, that would be the ultimate. This is probably just the icing on the cake, like, you know, the cherry on top. But I feel like with Amrabat, it's been difficult because it's like the manager's not got that midfield in control. It's so, for me, like, disjointed, and it's so, for me, like, it's chaos. We play chaos football. I don't know if you guys might enjoy tomorrow, or sorry, Saturday, because we play 100 miles an hour, and when we lose our shit. Like, we generally like if you look at the game against Everton had big chances, you know, to be 3-1 up. So give that to Newcastle, you know, we could be 2-0 up, but the game still is in the balance, because 1 goal changes everything. You score 1 goal, we will crumble. You see it against Galatasaray, you see it against Copenhagen, you see it with every single club. We just don't have that mentality to say, right, calm down, everyone. And that comes from the midfield, because it just becomes imbalanced, and we kind of lose our kind of rag. You know what I mean? So it's very, very tricky.
Oh, you're on mute, Pete.
I think you're on mute, Pete.
It was because I was coughing. Apologies. Just before we'll come back to the questions a little bit later on, because I think there's a few more. But I want to get into the match day stuff. But just before that, it was announced today that manager of the months are up, and both our managers are in it. Erik Ten Hag and Eddie Howe. So Eddie Howe's won 2, lost 1. Obviously that defeat to Bournemouth being the only loss, but we've also won against Arsenal and Chelsea, so they're big wins. And obviously Erik Ten Hag is the only manager out before to win all 3. Obviously against lesser clubs, but you still won all those games. Like, Are you backing your manager to pick up the award, Saeed, or is it going elsewhere?
I think it will go to Eric Ten Hag. I think that obviously the context matters as well, but I think it will go to. What's Bournemouth manager got? Has he got all two
What?
losses, 2 wins and 1 loss?
2
No,
wins, 1 loss.
he's won one, drew one, lost one.
Oh, okay. I don't know why he's in there. Then I know there's one win of
No, that's
you lot.
Luton one, Pete.
Oh, sorry, the Luton one. Sorry, I was looking at the Luton one. That's the Luton one. That's the one where I'm not sure how he got managed.
I don't know how he's in that because I was thinking, I'm
he's in
sure they've only won 1 game. But yeah, they've won 1 game.
The Bournemouth managers won
them.
2, lost 1. So the same as us, basically.
Yeah. I think we'll get it. Obviously, we're unbeaten in November as well. So yeah, I think Ten Hag will get it. I do believe that the context of where we won should also be used, but I suppose Ten Hag deserves it and whatnot. So yeah, man, big up to him. And Eddie Howe as well. He's been doing well as well. Big results against Chelsea and whatnot. So yeah, 100%. But I always look at these awards as something like you get it, and the next thing you know, it could be a curse as well because the next game, I always think these manager of the month awards. Sometimes you don't want it as well because it becomes like too much pressure. Oh, United are back, and the next thing you know, we got a game tomorrow. So on Saturday, where it's a difficult game. So yeah, you have to be very, very careful.
Absolutely right. You'll see at the bottom, you can see the little ticker. Smash the like button right now. And if you're new to the channel, if you're a Man United fan or not, or a Newcastle fan watching this for the first time, thanks for watching. The main man on the button as always, and click that like and click the subscribe button. And of course, whilst you're there, if you're not following or subscribing to Saeed TV, make sure you go over there and do that as well. Saeed's doing big things over on his channel. What is it now? Is it 70K? 70K?
77, I think now 77K. So yeah, man, big up to the community.
70, so you're just on the rise, like.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. We're working. Big up, man.
So get over there and show your love to Saeed TV. Great content, not just the watch alongs, but he does a great debate show once a week as well with the.
There you go, which you're involved in. So yeah. Yeah.
On a Thursday, Friday, but look, at this point now we're going to get into the game, and we're going to look at the match in a bit more detail. And of course, the only way we do that to begin with is some stats.
Evening, lads.
Back by popular demand, not just you, Keith, but the old intro music as well. Back in business, Keith. 00 Stato, the thriller of all things stats. How you doing, fella? And what have you got for us this week? Big game.
Back by popular demand, certainly 007. He's got to be back this time of year. And honestly, I feel like Mick Foley here, Pete. I've got 3 intros here: Mankind, Cactus Jack, and Dude Love. Popular Dude Love. But I'll take that. I've got loads of stats here. Massive clubs, massive fixture. Always a favourite, isn't it? Really, Newcastle United versus Man United at St James's Park. So loads of head-to-head stats. Few manager stats now. Goalkeepers, players, and some general stats to round off. Quite a few general stats as well. So Newcastle's record in the Premier League in this fixture since 93-94 season. Played 56, won 8, drawn 16, and lost 32. So Newcastle's win ratio is sort of like around about 15% there. The record against Man United at St James's Park in the Premier League, played 28 games, won 7, drawn 7, and lost 14, scoring 36 goals and conceding 50. Newcastle have scored 57 goals against Man United, but they've also conceded quite a few as well, which I think is one of the record highs against any other side. So 113 goals Newcastle have conceded. There's only been 6 0-0 draws in 56 games since 93-94 season. Newcastle, however, Newcastle kept a clean sheet in both Premier League meetings last year against Man United, and they've not gone 3 Premier League games, or they've not gone 3 league games without conceding against Man United since November 1897. So 2 centuries ago, that long, for 3 clean sheets in a row in the league. Moving on to the managers, Eddie Howe, his record in games as a manager against Man United. He's managed 14 games. He's won 3, he's drawn 3, and he's lost 8. And Eric Ten Hag, his record as manager in games against Newcastle, he's managed 3, won 1, drawn 1, and he's lost 1. He's yet to win a game in the league, though, against Newcastle. Goalkeepers, Nick Pope, he's managed 5 clean sheets in 13 league games in Newcastle, compared to Andre Onana's 5 clean sheets as well in as many games for Man United this season. Nick Pope, he's managed 3 clean sheets in 8 games he's played against Man United. And Andre Onana, although he's much under fire recently after last night, he's kept a clean sheet in 3 successive league games for Man United. So almost like United in the league and certainly in the Champions League, there's like the 2 contrasting fortunes this season. Outfield players, Alexander Isak became the first player to score an away Champions League goal for Newcastle since Alan Shearer against Inter Milan back in March 2003. And Newcastle had failed to score in both their away games in the Champions League before that game as well on Tuesday. And Isak became the 4th Swedish player to score for an English side in the Champions League after Freddie Ljungberg for Arsenal and Henrik Larsson, plus Anthony Elanga for Man United as well in the Champions League. Lewis Miley, at 17 years and 211 days, he became the youngest player in Newcastle's history to start a major game. And he's the 3rd youngest English player overall to start the Champions League, behind Jude Bellingham, who was 17 years and 113 days, and Phil Foden in December 2017, 17 years and 192 days he was that day. So he's getting in good company as Lewis Miley. Really impressed this season, as we all are. Marcus Rashford, just wanted to mention him. I know he's been a little bit off form early days this season. But he's been directly involved in a career best 10 goals in 12 games against Newcastle, scoring 5 and assisting 5 goals. So he does play well, and he does like playing well against Newcastle. Some rounding off with some general stats here. I've got quite a few general stats, so I'll round these off. Newcastle are winless in 6 Premier League games against Man United. Through the past 2 games have been draws, but there was the win in the so it's 1-7. So they did get the win in the in April. And I think Newcastle have now haven't gone 4 games in the league without defeat against Man United, going back to 1988. So that was sort of when Man United were going through in transition, really the last big transition for Man United. Man United have always liked coming to St James's Park in the Premier League. Tied with Arsenal, they've won 14 games against Newcastle, and that's the record for a team getting an away win. And they've lost 3 of the last 6 at St James's Park in recent years. Man United have won 5 of their last 6 Premier League games, so brilliant form in the Premier League with 5 wins and 1 defeat. And since the start of October, those 5 wins and 15 points, that's the record for any side in the league. So they're top of the form league, really. And against Everton, where they scored 3 goals. That was the first time they'd done that since they scored three against Man City away last year, and the biggest margin as well since they've done that away from home since Tottenham. So brilliant form for Man United there in the league. They haven't won 4 in a row, however, without conceding since August 2017. And also, none of Man United's past 20 games in the Premier League have ended in a draw. They've had 13 wins and 7 defeats. Also as well, they haven't the record at the start of this year. They had won just 3 of 12 Premier League away games, with 2 draws and 7 defeats. So this is an area where they've really improved at the start of this season. They've won the past 4 away games consecutively, and that's the longest run they've had since 2020, I think, where they've won 10 away games. So again, they're getting that form back, even though they're getting a lot of criticism, particularly in the Champions League this season. And just to round off here, since losing 2-1 to Liverpool in August, Newcastle have won their past 5 Premier League home games by an aggregate score of 12 goals to 1. And that rounds off the stats for tonight.
Take that. Great stats as always. Keith, brilliant stuff as always. Well balanced, along with Man United stats as well. So lots to dig into there. I just want to get the tactics board up, because Saeed, obviously with a lot of injuries that you're suffering at the moment, we are suffering too. And just playing last night, so you've got less time to recover. What is your team that you're going to go for, or you think is going to start against Newcastle United at St James's Park Saturday?
The thing is, I think he's going to keep Onana in. I don't think he's going to change him, so you probably put Onana in there. I think he's going to go with Dalot again, even though I think for me that's going to be a tough afternoon, because I actually rate Gordon. I don't know if a lot of people do rate Gordon, but I rate him very, very highly. I think he's very, very good, especially this season. He's probably the most improved player in the Premier League, Anthony Gordon. Centre backs will be Maguire and Lindelof. Definitely Maguire. A little bit of form. I think he's a player of the month contender as well. So a little bit of form, but again, I always think it's the ceiling to Maguire in that regard. But yeah, Lindelof alongside him. No Rafael Varane, who was amazing in that final. Can you believe it? A couple of months ago, but not the main man anymore. Out of favour with the manager. Luke Shaw at left back. Come back in. He again is someone that's integral to Ten Hag and his philosophy. So he'll be at left back. This is where it gets interesting. Midfield. See, I think he'll go for it. I think because you've got Miley in there as well. I think he'll realize. You know what? If you're good enough, you're old enough. So Kobe Mino in the 6 alongside McTominay. And then Bruno Fernandes just ahead of him. That will be the midfield, I think, for me. So yeah, Bruno Fernandes in the 10 role. And then this is where it gets interesting. Garnacho will come on the left. He's been on form, to be honest. You see that goal that he scored? Unbelievable.
Rashford?
Rashford will be on the right. Yeah. Garnacho's got this.
One.
Yeah. Garnacho's got this side locked in, which I'm kind of not happy about. I'm not happy about. But now Rashford's got to play against Livramento, which for me, Livramento's unbelievable, man. Like this kid is just ridiculous, man. You know what I mean? So he's gonna have to play against him. Will be a physical battle. And I think for me, it'll be a tough afternoon for Rashford, but we'll see what he does. And then up front, see, I think for me, he's going to go with Højlund, but I would disagree and putting him in there. But yeah, I think he'll go with Højlund again. But even though I think Martial should start because he's had 2 decent performances when he came on against yesterday, and then when he played against Everton, thought he had a good game, to be honest with you. But so yeah, that'll be the team for the game there. One change since probably the Everton game, and that will be Højlund coming in. Everything else will be the same.
Interesting. You said about Hoyland not starting and Martial, but yeah, obviously you got your team set there. No Casemiro still injured.
Still injured Casemiro, who was absolutely excellent in that final. Low, I think he won't play Amrabat in there. He won't play Ante, who had a good game. He won't play who else is out there?
Palestri.
Palestri, no, he won't play. So yeah, these are the guys that won't play in the team. He's got a set team now that he does. He's also said himself, he goes, I only like to have a group of 11 to 14 that I know that I can bring on every time. So he likes to have a small squad, to be honest with you. So yeah, that'll be the team that I think he puts out.
Interesting. Right, Chris, I'll come to you. We'll fly through. Tell me your 11. Obviously, we had some positive news that today that Botman was back on grass, looking like he doesn't require surgery, which is great news. And Eddie Howe did say in his press conference last week that that once they've got him back on grass, that things should move quite quickly. Not saying he would be available for this weekend. I don't believe he will, but that was just a bit of positive news there. But who are you going for your first 11, or is it already preset?
It's to be honest, yeah, I might disappoint a few people here because I struggle to see past the 11 that we had playing against PSG because I just don't think there's that many options. I mean, I'll go through it in case I think of something, but I know there's a possibility Harvey Barnes could be on the bench. Probably highly unlikely the Botman will be on the bench, but who knows? But it's great news that he's back on the grass. Pete, completely agree. But yeah, let's go with Nick Pope in goal.
Yep.
Oh yeah, sorry, you put him in. I was waiting for you to put him in.
I'd already done it.
Sorry.
Yeah, you know it already. You know the score already.
We'll go Kieran Trippier right back.
Yeah, Trippers. There we go.
We'll do Lascelles and Shah, right centre back, left centre back.
Cool.
Yeah. Again, you could argue that maybe. I mean, Saeed just talked, really glowingly about Livramento, and I don't want to see Livramento out the team, but you could argue that maybe Howe might want to rest him for Lewis Hall, but I think he will stick with Livramento. So sorry to get your hopes up there, Saeed, but I think he will. Yeah. I think he will stick with Livramento.
I rate him highly, man. He's such a good. Listen, I was sick to Chelsea fans like, why? I don't know how you lot sold him because now he's unbelievable, and he will be literally Trippier's kind of almost like the next in running. So. What a player, man. He was unbelievable against PSG. Like, unbelievable. So, fair play to you for finding that gem.
He dealt with Ousmane. I thought Ousmane Dembele was on some different kind of smoke on Tuesday. The pace, the power, the running ability, the cutting inside.
The feet was unreal.
Livramento lived with it and dealt with it all game. Like, even the switch over when Mbappe went over there, no problem. Like, He's only just turned 21 and nothing phases him. And that's what I love about him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He just got that desperation. He needed to get into the team to prove himself. And once he's in there, he's made it his own. And I just can't see him being dropped now. I can see him playing every game and being that regular. And there's an argument, Saeed, from our perspective, that's it now for Dan Burn in terms of being that first team regular. Like he's got it all to do now when he gets fit to get back in the team. But
facts.
But he's another one, Chris, that potentially his injury is not as bad as first feared. But when he'll be back, we don't really know. But fly through your midfield, mate.
Yeah, so I think it will be Lewis Miley, Holden. I know sometimes we talk about him being on the right, whether it's Miley or Bruno, it doesn't matter. But Bruno will be on the right, Bruno will be in the Holden, and then Joe Linton will be on the left.
Yep.
And then
that'll be a battle in that midfield, that's for sure.
Oh, mate. I must admit, looking at that midfield battle, I feel pretty confident about it, if I'm honest. Especially because Fernandez is a great player, but I wonder whether he's going to be tracking Bruno. I'm just not sure that whether he'll be tracking his counterpart Bruno, whether Bruno Gomes should be bombing forwards, and whether Fernandez is going to be doing that. Although I did see recently that Bruno Fernandez's running stats were one of the highest, so that did surprise me a little bit actually. On the left, it will be Anthony Gordon.
Yeah.
On the right, it will be Miggy Almiron.
Miggy.
And then the main man, the match winner, through the middle, Alexander Isak.
Yeah, sounds about right. Good team there. Like you touched on, there's a potential that Harvey Barnes can be back in the mix. There's a potential also that Longstaff could be back in the mix as well. Obviously, Lewis Hall will be back because he was ineligible to play against Chelsea, so he'll be back in the squad. I think he was in against PSG as well. We weren't quite
could look a lot better, couldn't it, Pete? The bench could look a lot better.
Yeah, we weren't sure about the situation with Emil Craft, and that won't affect the first team, the first 11. But he's a half decent squad player to have in. Botman we don't know about, so there's a few players there that could potentially surprise and really kind of boost the bench options. You're absolutely right, Chris. But Keith, just really quickly, just touch on: are you in full agreement with the team? I think it's kind of preset, isn't it? Really,
it's very much a cut and paste job at the minute, isn't it? Really, unfortunately, because of the injuries. But I certainly think that's probably your strongest lineup. But given how didn't make a substitute on Tuesday night, it is a little bit of a concern to think that these guys will, I'm thinking of how long these guys can go really at the levels that they're doing. So I'm just wondering if maybe there will be a substitute at some stage. And one that I was thinking of, will Lewis Hall be coming in at some stage earlier on in maybe the second half, given the success that he had against United at Old Trafford?
Yeah, true.
Definitely, it could be a very, very interesting.
You could rest Trippier, couldn't you? You could bring Trippier off if the game's kind of looking more in Newcastle's favour. Bring Trippier off, put Livramento right back, and put Hall at left back. Could do that.
Definitely. The good thing about our team, we have got that versatility there. But let's say really quickly, in your opinions, where do you think Man United could hurt Newcastle? Who are the players and whereabouts on the pitch do you think it could happen?
I think for me it'll be the counter-attack. Counter-attack for me. That will be kind of the danger point in that area. That will be my kind of pick. So I think in Rashford, Garnacho, especially Garnacho for me, he's a danger man. I'm looking at midfield. I'm still concerned about that midfield, but I think Kobe Mino has shown that he can maybe have a little bit of a battle with maybe Miley. That'll be something to watch out for. Lewis Miley versus Kobe Mino. And that's pretty much it, really, to be honest with you. Hoyler's not scored a goal yet. Rashford's still out of form. I think it is Garnacho, Garnacho. Bruno Fernandes, of course, on his day can score a goal, but will Bruno Guimaraes rattle him as well? It'll be battle of the Brunos in that regard. Luke Shaw, maybe on that left-hand side, might give you a little bit of balance on the trying to overlap there. Yeah, so Almiron will have to track back and realise that. So, but no, listen, it's going to be a tough battle. I think it's going to be a very, very difficult game. St. James Park, never easy, especially with your crowd as well. So, and what the history and Shearer and everything like that. So yeah, it's I've been there before, man. I think I've never been there and we've won. So every time we've been there, we've actually lost a game. So yeah, it isn't an easy place to go to. I tell you that.
We're building a fortress there, that's for sure. We are building a huge fortress where we're making it very, very difficult to win. To be fair, the only ones that won there this season, am I right in thinking it was Liverpool, and they got extremely lucky. That game was done at 75 minutes, and we But look, I know we haven't got you for much longer, Saeed. We'll just look at a couple of previews afterwards in terms of the fixtures. But first of all, massive thanks for you coming to join us, mate. Absolute pleasure as always. I want to get your prediction before you head off. So, look, come on, talk to us. Talk to us, bro. What do you think the result's going to be on Saturday?
I'm going to say 2-2. I want to be respectful. I don't think we're going to get the win. I'm going to go with 2-2. I think it'll be a draw. And it'll be an entertaining draw. It'll be like a boxing kind of fight. You throw a punch, we throw a punch, and then we kind of go back and forth. And then 2-2. I reckon we'll probably nick an equalizer. I reckon. So 2-2.
Interesting, very interesting. Look, I know you got shows coming out your ears at the moment, so you need to go. But look, pleasure as always. We'll get you back on, and look, we'll be in touch, bro.
Absolutely. Big up the chat. Thank you for having me on, Chris as well, Keith as well. Thanks very much, Pete. I'll see you tomorrow. Take
care, legend. Great as always to have Saeed on. He's so busy. He's got another show at 9, bless him, and then he's got another one I think, until like 11:30. So like he is non-stop with his shows. But this is what he does, and this is why he's nearly approaching 80k subs and absolutely smashing it. But I just wanted to come back to the tactics board, boys. We didn't get to talk about where we thought we could get the win. And Chris, I'll come to you first. Like, where do you see the kind of the hot spots for Newcastle where we can sort of infiltrate Man United?
It's for me. It's that midfield. It's that midfield. I mean, I was trying to be as respectful as possible, but Kobe Mainu has made a great impression so far this season. But I've never been a huge fan of Scott McTominay. Can't lie. Not doubting that he's got his capabilities, but I just don't see the threat, and I think that's why he's still a Man United player, because I think Man United probably have priced him out of a move. And when Newcastle allegedly showed interest in him, nobody's going to pay 40 million for Scott McTominay. It's just not going to happen. I mean, what did we pay for Bruno Gomes? Was it 38 million? It's just like it's just night and day. It's night and day. It's never going to happen. So I've never been a massive fan of Scott McTominay. I think Kobe Mainu is certainly a prospect, but again, when he's up against the likes of Bruno, possibly Joe Linton might wander over there. Maybe that's going to be the tactic, to try and bully him a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. And Bruno Fernandes, on his day, Bruno Fernandes is a very, very good footballer. But as we've all seen, if his head's not quite in it, or if he's not quite on his game, we do see the bad side of Bruno Fernandes, and I think Bruno Gomes can really show him up on Saturday night. So for me, I think the midfield battle, I think we could potentially roll over them, if I'm honest. I think Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof are in for a tough evening against raring to go Alexander Isak. Obviously, again, second performance since his injury, gets his goal, and people will underrate that goal. Yes, he would be expected to score, but it's the anticipation, it's the run, and he's on the ball at the minute, so to speak. Anthony Gordon's going to be a threat for Diogo Dalot. Miggy Almiron against Luke Shaw, that should be an interesting battle. But I fully expect, again, a bit similar to what we spoke about on the away days for PSGP and briefly on the Match Day Live, the fact that Kevin Trippier is going to go forward a bit. Is Garnacho going to track him? I'm not wholly convinced. And on that left-hand side, I don't see Marcus Rashford tracking Livramento. I think Livramento will run. We'll get the ball off him, and he will go, and I can't see Marcus Rashford tracking him. And if you've got Livramento and Anthony Gordon running at Diogo Dalot, and then Victor Lindelof right centre-back, I think they're in trouble, mate. I really, really do. And I'll save my prediction till you ask me, but I think we could get a lot of joy. And then we haven't even spoken about number 24 in the goal. All over the pitch, I think man for man all over the pitch, we're going to cause some problems, I'll be honest.
Definitely, 100%. Keith, before I just give my 2 pence, anything to add on what Chris has said? Made some really good points in terms of where we could hurt them. Anything that you think where we could get an in during the game?
I think Chris has really covered everything off almost. I mean, he doesn't cover all areas of the park, but I certainly think the area. I agree with the points about the midfield, but I certainly think that the weakness in that side for me is your defence, really. For Man United in particular, like the likes of Maguire, who seems to come under a lot of fire, certainly from United fans all of the time. And the goalkeeper, even though he has had better form in the league, you've got to ask as well, though, have some of the teams he's faced been of a better quality? I think they've been in the lower half of the table, haven't they, where they've kept them clean sheets. No disrespect to those teams in there, but it's not as if they're going up against City and, week in, week out in those games. Fade. So I've got to say that. I think the Man United Bruno Fernandes, I do actually rate him. I have rated him since he came through back in, I think it was 2019. I think he's been there for quite a while now, hasn't he, at United? He does seem to go through these runs where he puts runs together, especially when he was when he first came to the club. He went on that goal scoring run and that penalty run. So and he has had success against Newcastle. So I think don't count him out. Garnacho, he's on a fantastic run of goal scoring himself. Some brilliant goals in the last couple of games. The one for me is the question mark for me. I mean, I've touched on Rashford, but as well, what about Højlund from the United point of view as well? Because he's done it in the Champions League. He scored 3 great goals in the Champions League, but in the league, he's yet to score. So there's some question marks over Højlund and how he'll do against this game. I mean, obviously, we hope with the defense we have, he'll not have too much success. But I think at some stage, I would expect Højlund throughout the season maybe to pick up as well for United.
You know what? You made a really good point, Keith, and I've just gone to have a look at it. The Man United have won 4 of their last 5 Premier League games, which is pretty good. They're near the top of the form table. But if you look at those games, you've got Brentford, who haven't been great this season. They only just won 2-1 at home. They then only just won 2-1 at Sheffield United. And to be fair, Sheffield United were unlucky. Then they got smashed at home by Man City. Then they scraped a last-minute winner at Fulham. Then they scraped a 1-0 win at home to Luton. And then they beat Everton 3-0. So all the points that you've just mentioned is exactly right. Like, they've won matches, but against all the teams in the bottom half, which you would expect a team like Man United,
especially at Old Trafford.
And do you know what? And do you know what, lads? I watched the Everton Man United game, and I tell you what, when you look at those stats after the game, it was unbelievable. If you did blanked out the scores and you said what's the score in this match, you would never say 3-0 Man United.
Everton were unlucky. They had a load of shots. They had a load of chances.
Yeah, they did.
Well, unlucky that one of them didn't go in.
Yeah. They had periods in the game where Everton were peppering Man United. And to be fair to him, Saeed did mention it during the show whilst he was on. He did say they got peppered by Everton, and a team like Newcastle would put those chances away. And that's what fills me with confidence in this. So when I'm looking at this, like, for me, this is a dream for Newcastle fans. Harry Maguire, Lindelof, and Onana. Those 3.
It's a mismatch, Pete. It's a mismatch all over the pitch. It's a mismatch.
110%. Isak will have a field day. For one, he will lead them. He will cut them to shreds pace-wise. Trickery and his ability on the ball. He'll be able to run in and around these channels that they just won't be able to live with. For me, if I'm Alexander Isak and I'm in the box, I'm looking to win a penalty, because these guys are clumsy as hell, whether it's the goalkeeper or the 2 centre-backs. Their last-ditch challenges and tackles are shocking. So there's lots of wins there. I'm shocked that Saeed put Darlow in the team. And there's a reason why. It's because Wan-Bissaka is their best defender. In that back line, if he starts, he's their best defender. And you look at that back line, and even the same with Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw and Darlow, as fullbacks, love to be here. This is where they like to be in games, linked with their attacking winger. They don't like to be here. They're not defenders. They don't like to defend. And if you're coming up against a Gordon that's constantly pushing him back here, right, he won't cope. Darlow won't cope. It's the same with Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw is probably a slightly better defender, but he can't cope, especially with the pace and the direction and the movement of Miguel Almiron. These little runs inside, if Miley or Bruno can be finding and knitting those balls into this area there, like, he's laughing. He's absolutely laughing all the way to the bank. I'll put the ball in. These little balls into this area here, where Miguel Almiron's going to be having a starting position here, and then either going to be running out into that space where it just cuts it in. We've seen it before. He does it every week. Or he makes the inside run into that area there, right? He's coming one-on-one with Harry Maguire. I'm sorry, I know who's going to win that battle, and it's not Harry Maguire. And so you got Bruno in that position there. So this could be a game for Miggy. But Anthony Gordon has got the beating of Darlow all day long. If anyone watched the game last night against Galatasaray, the one thing you will notice is that Wan-Bissaka won everything down that side. As soon as they subbed him off and brought Darlow on, everything from Galatasaray went down that side. And they got in time and time again, because Darlow doesn't know how to defend. You're right in what you said, Chris, with regards to this. I think Kobe Mino is a good player, good young player, but he hasn't got the drilled philosophy of playing football in this midfield. It's a scattergun approach with Man United. One game they'll be great, the next game they'll be shy. Like, that's just the reality of it, and they just play how the game unfolds. There's no structure, there's no pattern of play, there's no style to Man United's football. They just go out there and whatever happens on the pitch. You could see it against Galatasaray. No structure there. And for all that's good with Kobe Mino, I think Lewis Miley gets the better of him. Bigger, stronger, physical, better on the ball. I think he will get the better of him, and the experience of playing at the Park will only be a good thing for Lewis Miley. Scott McTominay will have great games. He'll have shocking games, and it'll be games like this if he plays where Joe Linton will absolutely dominate him, absolutely. And I'm more than confident that Bruno will get Bruno will get the better of their Bruno in the middle of the Park. Going back to the defensive side of things, am I worried about Shaw and Lascelles dealing with Højlund? No. Am I worried about Shaw and Lascelles dealing with Martial? No, I'm not. They've proven that they can match the best. So why would I be worried about Højlund, with all due respect, and Martial? But this here, I hope he does. I hope Rashford does play on the right because he's got him pocketed. I actually think Trippier has got Garnacho nailed as well. It's only, again, the same thing we say every week. It's only the pace running in and behind. You know, is he going to try and steal 5 or 10 yards if Trippier's end positions here and they recycle the ball from Maguire into this area? Is he going to get caught in that area? That's the only question mark that I have. But I think, you know, if he stands up to him one-on-one, I think Trippier wins all day. Got Lewis Mike coming over here to protect. I think we'll be well marshalled. And let's be honest, we've been to Old Trafford and beat them. Doesn't guarantee us a win, but it shows that we can beat a team with all these players in and get the job done. So for me, I'm really, really confident that we can go and get that win. The anger and the aggression and the passion of the fact that we should have won it in the Parc de France and we didn't, hopefully should spill over to St. James's Park on Saturday. But yeah, final thoughts, boys, before we wrap up the tactics board.
I agree with what you and Kiefer both said. I look and keep looking at the pitch, and I'm like, I just don't see any real potential problems. I think, like you, Pete, the only one you could say is Trippier and Garnacho. But if you wanted any player to be, you know, marking the likes of Garnacho, you'd pick Kieran Trippier. And I just think I struggle. I really, really struggle. And even if Erik ten Hag tries to switch things up and puts Garnacho on the right and Rashford on the left, Trippier will have Rashford all day. I think Livramento, when Garnacho's all pace, I think Livramento beats him all ends up.
He did it at Old Trafford, didn't he?
Yeah.
He absolutely pocketed Garnacho at Old Trafford, couldn't get in. So, no, you're absolutely right. Anything from you, Keith, before we wrap up tactics?
Not on a player side, but I'm just thinking, I've just looked at the forecast there and the temperatures. Apparently it's going to be -2 on Saturday night. Newcastle, after a couple hours of freezing temperatures, could it be as well down to who adapts better on the night as well in those sort of temperatures?
Yeah, there'll be a few players, Keith, who won't fancy it. The likes of, I don't think Bruno Fernandes will be up for it. There's going to be a few players. You're absolutely right who are not fancying it. If they get an early kick in the first 5 or 10 minutes, will they just kind of shy away?
Definitely. You'll definitely have more Newcastle players that will be hard into that condition. Lascelles have been living there for years. Shaw, you know, you got the Geordie boys, you got the likes of Miley that are in there that know the environment, you know what it's like. The likes of Gordon won't be fazed by it either. Joe Linton, solid as a rock. All of these players will be hardened to it. But, you know, you ask the question to Bruno Fernandes, is it too cold? Is he going to turn up? You know, one or two of the other players as well, your Dallos and your Garnachos, are they going to want to play in these cold weathers? Who knows? It could be a factor. for sure. But great chat as always, boys. Brilliant stuff. I just wanted to switch tact now, and I believe there was a super chat. Is that right, Chris?
There certainly was. Certainly was. We need to give a big shout out to Toontastics TV. So thank you very much for the super chat, mate. Much received. Much appreciated, should I say. Gents, will this game come down to our physical resilience outlasting Man United's mentality? Brilliant question. Pete?
Yeah, I do. I think we're not only from a physical aspect that we are physically stronger in game than Man United. I think physically we've got better fitness than them. I think the fact that Man United, it's not just the fact that Man United played last night, but they had to play to their maximum to the end of the game. We did as well, but we've got extra days rest, and we are naturally as fit. I think if this was kind of the AC Milan game and we were kind of mid-December and we'd had a number of games, including midweek, I think I'd be a little bit more worried. But because we've only just come back from the international break, we've had a 2-week rest. We look really fit and sharp against Chelsea. We look fit and sharp against PSG. I think that will fall into our favour at this stage of this block of fixtures. And I just think fitness-wise, we are fitter than Man United because we are arguably the fittest team in the Premier League, in my opinion. So I just think that as the game goes on, we could potentially pick them off if we haven't already in the middle of the game.
Yeah, agree. Keith, what about you, mate?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with those comments as well. You know, the way that Newcastle have been tuned up, you know, it's incredible the levels that, you know, Howe is inspiring out of these players. When you think of the injuries we've got at the minute, and yet they're still able to perform at these levels, we're getting your maximum out of them, really. So it's quite incredible. The last 2 sets of games, what they're able to do. Absolutely. I think we've got an incredible level of fitness base against them, really. So
let's wait and see. It's going to be an interesting one. That's for sure. What I wanted to do just before we wrap up is we've kind of made this a mini feature on the show recently, and where is it? I believe this is it. The fixtures are out for this weekend. So what do we think, boys, about the fixtures this weekend? We've got them here. So we've got the there's no early kickoff because obviously we are the late kickoff Saturday. So we've gone straight to the 3 o'clocks. We've got let's start with Arsenal Wolves. What result are we going for, boys?
Me personally, I think an Arsenal home win.
Comfortable home win as well for me. Maybe 2 goals, I would say, for Arsenal to the good.
Interesting. I'm in agreement with you. I think, boys. I think it's a full house there. We've got Brentford, Luton. Any surprises there?
No, I think do you know what? I think Brentford have hit a bit of a rough patch recently. Maybe they're really starting to miss Ivan Toney. I don't know, but I can't see anything other than a Brentford win. I know Luton got a win recently, but I think for me, I think Brentford will have too much for them.
Yeah, I think Brentford will just share it. Even though Luton got that impressive win, and I'd like to see them go on, I think Brentford will share that.
I'm going to jump a fixture here. Obviously, for the benefit of the rest of the whole household, we'll go to the 5:30 kickoff. Forest at home to Everton. What do you think the score's going to be, Chris?
Not everyone will like to hear this, but I think Forest will win. I think Forest will win. I know Everton are favourites. I can see that from the odds on Sky Bet. But I think Forest will win. I think Everton's tails are down a little bit at the moment. They'll probably have been really frustrated after playing well against Man United and not getting anything. But I think Forest at home, particularly at the City ground, I think Forest will cause some problems, and I think it will be a narrow 2-1 win, something like that.
Ooh. Keith?
Yeah, I think Everton will pick up. I think the Daesh effect and the dogs of war and everyone is against us will start to yield results, and they were unlucky against United. I think Forest at the City Ground are a different, they're a different kettle of fish, they're a different story, and I would expect Forest at the City Ground to get a win.
Okay, we're going to jump to Sunday, and we'll look at some of our rivals really quickly. So, Villa Bournemouth.
That's a tough game to call. That was a tough game to call. I'm not going to lie, I want a Bournemouth win. Do you know what? Because I'm so on the fence over it, I'm going to say draw.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Keith?
I don't think, I think we'd like Villa to drop off at some stage. Would like them to drop off, but I don't think I can see it yet. Maybe in the second half of the season. And I think Watkins in particular is on too good a run. I think Villa getting away win here against Bournemouth.
Yeah, they are playing well, but they don't play well away from home. They've got just as good a record as us, and it's not great. So we'll go on to Chelsea. This is a big game. Yeah. 2 teams around us. So us getting a win would be a dream, because someone here is going to be dropping points in that chase for Europe. Chelsea at home to Brighton. Who are you going for? This is a tough one to call, I think.
Yeah, this is you're absolutely right, Pete. By the way, can I collect my flowers from last week when I said Brighton would win?
You did.
I hope everybody backs Brighton. I really, really fancy Brighton. And I'll be honest, this is me thinking with me betting head on. Those odds there on Brighton at 15-4. That's just under 4-1. It's a great price. Great age, great price.
Yeah,
it's a great price because there's Brighton are fully capable of beating Chelsea, and man for man. I don't think there's much in it, if I'm honest. Brighton have got some good players, and Chelsea, as we all know, they're still not convincing. We thought, didn't we? Oh, Chelsea are back now. Chelsea, they got a good result against Tottenham. They got a draw against Man City, and then we just swept them aside like they weren't even there. So yeah, it's a tough one to call, that, isn't it? I will say, do you know what, boys? I'm going to Brighton win. I'm going Brighton win.
Chris, not Chris. Keith, Chris has gone for a Brighton win. Are you in agreement, or do you think Chelsea are going to fire back?
Can definitely see value in it. We're talking last week in the recent weeks about how Chelsea had turned a corner. I think it's going to be one of them seasons where they go on little runs and they get a spoken works and that really. This game is one of the toughest to call of the weekend, I would say. Brighton, after that brilliant start, have went off the boil a bit and got that win the other week. I'm going to say this will be a score draw, and I can just see people will still be unhappy with Pochettino and the team for some reason. So I think score draw at home.
Yeah, he's under a little bit of pressure.
Good shout.
That's not a bad shot at all. Lots of people getting their opinions in. Wood I said he thinks Arsenal 3-0. Brentford win 2-0. I believe from Gary V, that's a live score. Villa 2-1 up in the Europa League. Europa Conference League, should I say. Wood Eye's gone for a 2-1 Forest win, so he's with you, Chris, on that one. He's also gone for a 1-1 draw with regards to the Bournemouth game.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sounds like we're on the same page, Wood Eye. Sounds like we're on the same page.
Yeah. Jordan Chief Live said he backed Brighton and his bet came in. So, Chris, you got one off the board there.
Yes.
You got a guest on there, guest on a winner.
Love it.
I'm going to ask you actually.
I knew this was coming.
Did you prepare? I wasn't sure if you had.
No, I hadn't, but I've just had a little look there. I think I don't know whether to be brave and do a double here, but maybe
let's go through them all, and then we'll get your thoughts on this. I like this a lot.
I might be giving something away as well, Pete, and I'm sorry to give something away, but you'll know what I mean when I get to it.
Okay. Yep, no worries. Brighton not been great after the international game or European games. David said, you're absolutely right. Yes. So we've got Liverpool Fulham at Anfield. What we thinking?
I mean, I've got to say Liverpool home win.
Yeah.
I've got it.
Comfortable Liverpool home win, but they'll score at least 3 goals. It could be 3-1, but it's a Liverpool banker.
Yeah, would I eat there has gone for the same 3-0 win, comfortable. As you just said, Chris and Keith, I'm in full agreement. I think that one's a full house. I tell you what, this is massive. West Ham Palace.
I just seen it. I just seen it. Lawless. I just seen it.
Oh wow, this could be fireworks. Boys, what we go for? If Palace win, all bets are off. All bets are off, mate.
Yeah, definitely. And I tell you what, Michael Elise came back recently, didn't he? Been a big miss for Palace. Scored a fantastic goal, and then Garnacho goes and scores that wonderful overhead kick. Yeah. So his goal of the season shout is probably gone now. But Michael Elise looked particularly threatening for Palace. You see, West Ham are just so up and down, aren't they? Good team, good 11. But they're just I don't know. Do you know what? Because I'm so on the fence over it, I think I'll say draw.
Okay. Yeah. A few people have said it. Well, gone 2-2, 1-1, Palace, West Ham. Keith, what are you going for?
Just one win and 6 games for Crystal Palace, though, in the league. Away to Burnley was their only win, and they've lost 4 in 5. The first of that being the 4-0 thrashing at St James's Park. So I'm going to continue on with that. Roy's coming under a little bit of pressure unfairly, given he was only meant to step in last year. So I think West Ham will nick this one. It'll be close, maybe a 2-1, but yeah, West Ham.
Yeah, I'm reluctantly going West Ham. I think they'll win. The reason why I'm saying this is because obviously it was a horrible loss to Luton at the weekend. To lose that game, that's not a good result for them. But they also lost to injury Eze and Decore, who are massive for them. They both got injured. They both come back from injury and then both got injured again in the same game. And it looks like they're going to be long-term injuries. And because of that, I just think West Ham are just going to have enough. But I think it'll be a close game. Be closer than what people think, in my opinion. End up probably being 4-0, and I could be completely wrong, but that's what I think. And the last game of the weekend's fixtures, Man City Tottenham at the Etihad. What we're going for, obviously, Tottenham missing players but playing some decent football against a free-flowing Man City team, albeit they drew against Liverpool. What are you going for, Chris?
I hope and pray it's a Man City win. Because I want this Tottenham decline to continue, and I think, I think City win comfortably. And tell me if I'm wrong here, boys. And I only glanced at it. Weren't Man City 2-0 down against RB Leipzig and won 3-2? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's going to be huge for confidence as well. So yeah, I think Man City win. I think it'll be 2-0.
Excellent. Keith, are you in agreement with Chris?
Yeah, Ange needs a result, doesn't he, to stop the rot a little bit?
Yeah, he does.
I think he might have to wait another weekend. And City are a little bit jittery at the minute, so I mean, you wouldn't be surprised if it would be a draw, but I still think City at home, that that result through the week in the Champions League for them was a good one, and Haaland's back, so. You've got to look at maybe a 3-1, haven't you? At the Etihad for City.
Yeah. Tottenham's games don't get any easier after this one. West Ham and then Newcastle. They've had a tough run of fixtures.
It's somebody was saying it. I think it might have been on the biggest commercial radio station in the world, sports. But I think they were joking about Tottenham, saying that they always seem to go over the Halloween stage, so they're scary until Halloween, and then it all goes wrong after that. And it's bizarre. if you looked at the last couple of seasons, they've been in some good form, and then by this stage, they've got at least 3 defeats in the season, and it tapers for them already.
And Keith, you're probably the perfect person to ask this, but was I right in thinking there was some stat going around ages ago? Whether it's still, it probably will be still relevant if it still stands, if that makes sense. But didn't Harry Kane never score a goal in October or something?
I think it was August. I'm pretty
sure.
It
August?
was August, and then
right.
He broke that last year, I think.
Did he?
Yeah. But he was notorious apparently for being a slow starter, but
and then he just goes.
Well, and truly he's brought that this season, so it's one of the past.
Well, I'm with you. I think Man City will win. I'm gonna touch on Tottenham really just for like 30 seconds afterwards. But Chris, what's your go-to? What's your go-to bet this weekend for or winnings? Shall we say winning matches? Or what you think?
I think, and this, as I say, you'll realise why I'm saying this spoils it. Honestly, lads and lasses, anyone who's watching, Newcastle at home 10-11 is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I may end up with egg on my face. Maybe I'm going in overconfident. I don't know. But for me, nearly even money. So 10-11, nearly even money on Newcastle to beat Man United at home is silly. I think the bookies are looking at that 3-0 win against Everton last week. But as we all saw, that result didn't kind of tell the tale of the game. And I think they're coming up against a Newcastle side who are hurt, who were down in the dumps, and they will want to kind of ensure that if we end up getting robbed of Champions League football this season, that we guarantee we get it next season. And this game, Eddie Howe will be saying to the players, if you want to play Champions League football, these are the kind of games you've got to be winning. Man United are going to be one of our main competitors for that top 4. And at home, at St James's Park, under the lights of you, as you've said, Pete, and the reason that we've looked at the lineups, we've looked at everything. I can't not look at Man United. And if you wanted to kind of up those winnings a little bit, my next go-to would probably be Forest at home to Everton. I think the price of 9-5 with Forest at home to Everton is really good, considering how good Forest are at the City ground. Again, I think the bookies are maybe looking at it and thinking, Everton, they're in a good state of form at the moment. But Nottingham Forest at home is not an easy game, and if you're getting nearly 2-1 on Nottingham Forest at home, it's a good price. So if you wanted to, me banker is Newcastle. My other bet would be, if you wanted to kind of top it up a little bit, Jordy Soon for Life, if you're listening, Nottingham Forest and Newcastle at home as a double.
Ooh, I like it. Brilliant stuff. So there's your Chris Paul double for this week.
I will expand as I go. If I keep getting them right, I might start giving out trebles and fourfolds. But for now, I'll keep my powder dry, and I'll say Newcastle at home's the banker for me, and then I think Newcastle Nottingham Forest as a double wouldn't be a bad show.
Guys, you've heard it.
And can I also be cheeky as well and say, I'm not going to put it out there because it may be too outrageous, but everybody keep an eye on that Brighton Chelsea game, because I think Brighton nearly 4-1 is ridiculous. But let's see what happens with that. I haven't put all my eggs in one basket with that one, but that is one to keep a lookout for.
Definitely. Look, really quickly, looking at the league table, Newcastle currently in 7th place, 23 points, 3 wins out of the last 5, coming up against Man United, who are a point ahead, won 4 of their last 5. However, a win on Saturday puts us ahead of Tottenham. That superstar Tottenham going to win the league, challenging for the title, Tottenham Hotspur, before they then go to Man City. And obviously with goal difference being significantly better than both Man United and Tottenham's, it would put us ahead. And that paints a completely different picture on the Premier League table. And it just goes to show, when people are kind of writing off Newcastle, we're still right in the mix. And that's the point that I wanted to make, because we've just talked about Tottenham's next 2 games after Man City. West Ham, who are not easy, and Newcastle come to town. And the league could look very, very different for Tottenham Hotspur within the next week, because there's a midweek game where they play West Ham. We have Everton, and then we get Tottenham the weekend after. So just wanted to put that out there, boys. And how's just really quickly from both of you, how's the league shaping up for you for Newcastle?
Very nicely. Very nicely. I think I spoke recently, Pete, and said, we're looking at it with 7 points off top. We're 5 points off top four. We're seeing Tottenham stuttering. We've got an opportunity to put Man United to the sword. If we win and Tottenham lose against Man City, we go into fifth. And if we're going into fifth, and then we've got Tottenham, we've got to play Tottenham soon. It's a great opportunity for us to really try and catch Villa and Liverpool and Man City. I think Liverpool are very fortunate to be where they are, if I'm honest. They've had a couple of lucky results, none less so than Newcastle, when obviously they were destined to lose, and then they got 3 points off us. They got that late equaliser against Luton. I still think defensively they're not great. We've seen Arsenal and Man City stutter. I cannot believe Arsenal are top. They've got a good team, and I think I said to you boys, didn't I, that I still see. I think it was when we had Dan on when we did the Arsenal away day. I still believe Arsenal are the main threat, and obviously the league's proven that at the minute. But it's mad to think that Arsenal on top of the league, because if you said to anybody without looking at the league who's probably impressed you most, I don't think anybody would say Arsenal. I don't think anyone would say that. So yeah, I must admit I'm really pleased with where we are in the league. Really, really pleased, and I think we've given ourselves a fantastic opportunity to really, get ourselves in that top four for Christmas.
Definitely. Keith, anything to add before we get to predictions?
Yeah, I think some interesting points made about Arsenal. In terms of Newcastle, it was always going to be tough. We always wanted to see how they would manage these fixtures with the Champions League and with Europe, and with such a tough European Champions League group. I think it's pretty much as good as you'd expect, really, from Newcastle. It was always going to be tough the second year running, and they're still up there. They're going to be getting players back, over the next month or so, going into January. There will be one or two additions, I'm sure, by loan as well. So I'm expecting a really strong push in the second half of the season, from Newcastle, to get up there as well. We always expected the likes of Liverpool to come back, and when Chris was saying there about Arsenal, I think Liverpool are pretty much up there as the team that have impressed me the most, in terms of how things have gelled. I still don't think they're as impressive up top, since Mane has left, but I'm really impressed, obviously, with Liverpool in terms of how they've just been reeling them off and getting a point at the Etihad. Arsenal, brilliant, in terms of efficiency, but what they're going to be like in the new year once you get into that business end of the season again, are they going to fall apart as well when they hit that moment? They're definitely a much improved outfit from where they were 2-3 years ago. To smash Lons there the other night, they're right up there. It's, for me, with Arsenal, your question marks are always in March and April, how they cope at that stage of the season.
Definitely, great point, as always, Keith. And this is going to chop and change a lot. People are getting too fixated on where people are at the moment and going, "Oh, that's where they're going to stay," i.e., Villa, Tottenham, teams like that, Arsenal, for example. This league's going to change a lot, and teams that are down there at the moment, like teams like Newcastle, could quite easily rise up the league as fixtures come about. So. We just need to keep in there.
I've just got to ask at this point, is this the longest stage we've been in a Premier League season, or in recent times where there hasn't been a sacking or a high-profile sacking?
Has to be.
Because in previous years, like last season, there'd been chop changes already, and it shows you the impact of a managerial change as well. What would happen if Poch gets the sack midway point for Chelsea this year? It can move, and these things can move and change, as you say, Pete. And we've seen the manager bounce and the manager effect, haven't we?
Depends on how that Burnley game goes, because Burnley are playing Sheffield United at home. If Burnley, I do expect Burnley to win, by the way, but if Burnley go and beat them convincingly, I think Sheffield United have no choice but to get rid of them. I really do. Because if you're not beating Burnley, they're your main rivals. Yes, they're away from home, but if Burnley then go above Sheffield United, you can't just keep in blind faith. So I think the first one to go will be Heckingbottom from Sheffield United, and I think it could be this weekend.
Interesting, very interesting. What you want is the teams around here is to keep winning, and Forest to do their job.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I make it clear what I want in that situation.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's keep this.
Your second team, Pete, is it Everton? You know, your second
No, don't do that, Keith. Don't do that to me, man. But interestingly, there's rumours of further points deductions with their financial situations that came out today for Everton. They could be deducted more points because their financial situation's getting worse. So fingers crossed. Anyway, we'll move on. Let's get to the predictions, boys. As always, we get to the predictions. I'm going to say Newcastle United win. I'm going to say Newcastle United win 2-0. I think we're going to give a top performance and get the 3 points. But I was about to say Keith then, but actually, Chris, I want to know your prediction first. What are you going for, fella?
And this is why I put them in my bet, Pete, because I think Newcastle are going to win 3-0. I think we're going to blow them away. I really, really do. Really confident. I can't remember the last time I was so confident to win. I genuinely think we're going to have far too much for them. And I do think the fact that it's a night game, the fact we've had that dodgy result against PSG, and Man United will be shattered after that game midweek. And there's loads of question marks around all their players. And I think our players will be told, go out there, put them to the sword. Let's get fifth. And yeah, I think we'll win 3-0.
Lovely stuff. And of course, Keith, 00 Stato, Dr. Doom, whatever you want to call yourselves. But Keith Roll, what is your prediction for the game on Saturday, mate?
Yeah, one thing I would say is the Saturday's game, I think, will be a very different game to the one at Old Trafford in the League Cup, I think that hurt United and surprised United a lot more than was let on at the time. That seemed to be like a real low. And you never know, that could be a bit of fuel in the fire for them on Saturday night, and the disappointment, because nobody gets criticism like Man United get criticism because of their status. So we don't know yet until the next game, how it's going to affect them, so it's going to be an interesting affair. I'm thinking I could say what you guys have said, that Newcastle will steamroller Man United and it could be a 3-1 or a 2-1 even. But that would be letting everybody in the chat down, wouldn't it? So let's have a think. I think that it'll be an entertaining affair, goals on either side of the pitch, and that's why I won't let everybody down, and I'll go with that.
It's gone to the death.
Well, that was Saeed's prediction, wasn't it?
Yeah, what man say? Yeah.
Well, the one thing I would say here, I looked at when I would put the stats together. I didn't read these stats out, but games after Europe, Man United 3 wins this season after European games in the Champions League, despite their disappointing Champions League results this season, and their only defeat came against City at the Etihad. Newcastle's games after European games, just the 1 win, and that was the 8-0 against Sheffield United away, the record win. There's been 2 draws in that as well. They were both 2-2, and Newcastle were in winning positions in those games as well. Like, for instance, the West Ham away game and the Wolves away game, Newcastle were winning those games comfortably just after the Champions League, and that's why you've got to look and think the effect of those lads putting the exertions in, and they did play the full 90 minutes in extra as well. How's it going to go? Fingers crossed it's the 3-1 win and the 2-1 win to Newcastle.
Well, we've got Keith's prediction there. He's gone for the Desmond Tutu, but also the potential of Newcastle United to win.
If Newcastle, if I went for a win and Newcastle don't win, everybody will blame me in anyway.
There's no win in this game. As the stato, there's no win-win in this game, Keith. But I'm just going to still the chat just for a second, Chris. I love Gary V's comment on there. I'm on mute. I can't hear Keith's lips moving. I can see Keith's lips moving, but I can't hear a word. So he, as far as Gary V's concerned, you didn't say anything. You didn't say anything. You didn't actually.
I think some people were lip reading Trippier the other night as well, weren't they? With the referee.
Yeah, very true.
And Jermaine Genius on the touchline as well.
I'll tell you what, I was very surprised by that. Whether Genius is trying to, do you know what? It could be Genius trying to warm to the Newcastle fans, or it could genuinely be as a football fan. He sees how bad that decision was because it was. I don't know if you saw it, Pete, but yeah, he's and you know what's that funny as well? I watched it back and it showed Genius on the touchline as the penalty thing was unfolding, and it was exactly like me in the living room. I must have said about 15 times, "No way, no way," and I was like throwing stuff and everything, going, "No way," and all you saw him doing on the touchline was just going, "No way, no way." That's how unbelievable it was. It was unbelievable.
I'd be surprised as an ex-player of Newcastle that you wouldn't be like that anyway. Like you
have to think. I mean, I know he sometimes comes under criticism for how he left and thinking it was like a goldfish bowl and all of that. But you have to think here, he was young, and what he was like at Newcastle as well, in that team with all of his mates as well. And the fact that he had that close relationship with Sir Bobby, the manager before Souness. So there is a bit of him that will always have a bit of an affinity with Newcastle, I'm sure.
Of course.
And he played Champions League football for Newcastle, didn't he?
Yeah.
He had that brilliant run in 2003 where he got about 7 goals in the run that helped Newcastle finish third that year.
Yeah. So there you go. So that from that perspective, he still holds something to the club. But obviously, for whatever reason, he wanted out at that particular time, and he used his excuses what he did. But when you're in that situation, you're going to back Newcastle United. So I do think it was a bit of both. I do think that it was a shocking decision. I think Stu's put in the chat, football fans for sure, Chris, that was a genuine and disgusted reaction in terms of like the decision that was being made. But equally, I think he is trying to warm to Newcastle fans because I think he realizes that Newcastle United aren't going anywhere.
And he wants that match of the day job eventually as well. He positioned himself to that. Lineker cannot go on forever, even though he's had it for 24 years already.
The more Newcastle rise, the more he's going to want to be attached to Newcastle as the next player. And let's face it, he played his best football of his career at Newcastle, so it just makes sense for him to be warm to Newcastle. But look, it is what it is. But look, massive thanks to everyone in the chat. Massive thanks to Saeed from Saeed TV, just on my left-hand side, but it'll be all right. If you haven't subbed to his channel, make sure you do. If you haven't subbed to our channel, make sure you sub to our channel now. We are trying to push for 7K and move up the rankings with regards to subscriptions. But more importantly, thank you for watching. It's been a great show, great chat between the four of us. And then great to look at some of the weekend fixtures, and we'll continue to do that. Hopefully the old Chrissy Hall double comes in and we can develop that a little bit more.
Yes.
Keith, your stats as always are superb. Thank you for sharing them with us. And we always keep them in mind when the fixtures come out, when the results come in, because they change every time after each game. Everyone in the chat has been absolutely superb, and as Chris has put in the chat there, thank you for watching. As always, thank you to our sponsors, Russ and the team at the Radiator Shed. We've got H2O Bathrooms. Thank you for your support. And we've got the Still Works as well. Thank you for your support also. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Newcastle World. Click the QR code and make sure you sign up for their newsletters. And if you're not a member, become a member. Become a Loaded Ultra. $1.99 a month. On your, I believe it's on your laptop. You need to do it from click that blue button and it will take you forward. Only a few short steps to become a Loaded Ultra. Guys and girls, we're going to leave you with fingers crossed for 3 points. Redemption after that horrible decision that denied us a famous win at the Parc des Princes, but we hit back and hopefully sitting in the top 5 in the Premier League by Saturday evening. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. As always, make sure you hit the likes and subscribes on the way out. Forward it on to a friend. Forward the show on to a friend so they know about the channel, so they can subscribe to the channel, and just spread the word. Loaded Mag NUFC putting out Newcastle United content every week, and we'll continue to do so with new ideas in the works. Guys, it's about that time. We do love playing away. Chris, take us away, fella.
How'd you like that?